Hello from the BBC World Service and welcome to the latest edition of the Documentary Podcast. Every week we bring you a range of stories from our presenters and reporters across the world. If you have the time, please rate the documentary on your podcast app and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.
People often ask me what I miss about living in Beirut. Top of my list is hanging out here in Hamra, Beirut's commercial district and its most cosmopolitan quarter. I could sit for hours at one of its legendary pavement cafes, people watching, observing the hustle and bustle of the city, soaking up the atmosphere and the fumes. But even I occasionally needed a break from Hamra's relentless rhythm. If I gaze eastwards from this pavement right here, I can see the mountains. And Mount Lebanon is exactly where I'm heading now. I'm Karl Sharro, a writer and architect. I live in London, but I was born in these mountains we're driving up now. We grew up fooling around in the snow in winter, snowball fights, sledging, and so on. Our school was on top of a steep hill. Snow meant no school for the day. When I talk about this, people are often surprised. Snow in the Middle East? Surely not. However, not just the Lebanese, but people from all over the Middle East come to these mountains to ski and do other winter sports. In this documentary for the BBC World Service, I'm escaping the madness of the Beirut traffic. I'm running away from the surrounding conflicts, the sectarian tensions, the politics, all the frictions you hear about in the news, to go up to a region that is rich in symbolism for the Lebanese and an escape for people of the region, in skiing Mount Lebanon. So, I was wearing a t-shirt down by the Mediterranean Sea a few hours ago. But up here, at 2,000 meters altitude, the temperature is a fresh 5 degrees Celsius. There are skiers and snowboarders everywhere. As the old tourist cliché goes, in Lebanon you can ski and swim in the same day. But the cliché clearly never had to drive from the coast to the ski slopes in Lebanon's legendary traffic jams.
I'm Mahmoud. I'm from Bahrain. We usually go to Europe or to the US, but it's a bit expensive and it's a long journey for us. This is the closest place from Bahrain that we can ski in.
Mount Lebanon is the name of the entire mountain range that stretches the length of my country, north to south, 170 kilometers parallel to the Mediterranean Sea. And this is Mzar Ski Resort, the largest and most international on Mount Lebanon. And we'll be hearing a lot more from the people who come here.
Before, we didn't know about it, honestly. I thought it was smaller mountain and not good facilities, not like Europe, but it exceeded my expectations, and the snow's really good, the people are good.
My name is Ragda Al-Shaya. I'm from Kuwait. We enjoy it very much. Kuwaiti people, they like Lebanon and they like the Lebanese people from our old generations. They have friendships.
My name is Amr. I come from Cairo, Egypt. My daughter has yet to see snow, so this is her first experience. And it's a very short distance from Egypt. It's only an hour by flight. I think it's really great that you can find this culture here within the Arab world, because it really doesn't exist anywhere else.
I'll be honest. I grew up not far from here, in Zahle, a city in the Lebanese mountains. Back then, the closest we got to skiing was sledging on the large tray my mother used for making Easter cakes down steep steps that transformed after heavy snowfall into a rather treacherous black run right outside our house. But I was born on the wrong side of the mountains, on the side facing east. Skiing was for the wealthy, with their ostentatious bling, and I slightly resented them for it. But maybe there's more to the ski slopes than I realized.
My name is Dane. I'm Jordanian. I think we're just gonna, enjoy the place, discover the restaurants, the bars, have nice dinners, and watch them ski because I don't. The people, the atmosphere, the food, the authenticity of the place, the modern Arab vibe. It's lovely.
My name is Faraj Bahbahani. I am from Kuwait. For us, we feel better in Lebanon than to stay in Europe. The food is better for sure than Europe. I think the weather is also warmer. At night, we can even go to Beirut. It's only like an hour and a half distance, which is a big city. You can see a lot of restaurants open late, a lot of activities you can do other than ski. That's why I like it more.
So what we're hearing is that the wealthy tourists from the Gulf, Qataris, Kuwaitis, Saudis, don't come here necessarily to ski, but for the bars and the nightlife, which is quite lively. On the other end of the scale, you see less wealthy Lebanese driving up here, sometimes in buses, to simply have a picnic in the snow, listen to music, and smoke their shisha pipes. Maybe it's just as much about escaping to the mountains as the allure of winter sports.
I was born in the mountains on 1,350 meters, and the ski resort is not just next to us, it's in our life.
Walid Khalil is a ski instructor whose family has lived for generations in these mountains.
I was 2.5 years old when I started skiing, and it got me really in love with the sport, with the freedom that the ski gives you. You go anywhere in the mountain that you want. Lebanon is a place of freedom because if you know the Gulf, most of the people live inside. Desert and 50 degrees, and you don't have a lot of nature and nice things to do outdoor. This is why a long time ago the people from the Gulf, when they can do it and it's so close for them, before all the problems in Syria and everything, they used to drive with their families to live the summer in Lebanon. And they got to know that there is the snow in the winter, and this is very special for them. This is very different from what they live. And this is why they started to come to this area where there is snow, where they can do a new activity, where they can live the winter. And this is where they all meet, where they all see each other. One come from Iraq, another from Kuwait, from Bahrain, from Qatar, Emirates, Saudi, Oman, everywhere. For sure, after a full day of skiing, you should go out for food and for the drinks that doesn't exist in the whole Gulf.
From here, the Battle of Damascus is less than 100 kilometers away. I find it amazing that despite everything that's going on in the region, the wars in Syria and Iraq, Israel to the south, Hezbollah's growing regional activity, this Lebanese ski resort is like the eye of the Middle Eastern hurricane. It's a deceptive sense of calm, perhaps, but a sublime one nevertheless.
This region is, the problem is the political situation, and where I came from Kuwait. Also, we have a lot of tension, especially these days. We are neighbors to Iraq, where a lot of tension there, instability, and we are neighbors of Iran. Also, now there is some unrest between Saudi Arabia and Qatar. It's unfortunate that we are living in this region, but this is where we are from, so we have just to face reality and enjoy it no matter what.
Living in the region, it's not like watching it from the TV, because we're living it every day, so it's not that dangerous, that's safe where we travel and we work and the kids go to school, so it's not that dangerous. It's actually safe. We don't feel it.
We used to come here to Lebanon, but now since 6 years, when the problem in Syria started, we stopped coming to Lebanon. This is the first time after the Syria problem. I hope peace will be in this region.
Walid Khalil believes there's something unique about spending time in mountainous places.
There is something really special about the mountain. On a normal day in any city, there is thousands of people. If someone you like, you can sit with. If you don't like, you just go to another restaurant, another place or whatever. But the ski resort, and especially the winter and with the weather, it makes people come together like they have no choice sometimes. And this is what makes them become much closer. It is the weather effect on the people. It makes the people become much more friends than when you meet someone for half an hour and then you go to another place if you are living in a city. The mountain have this effect. And it doesn't matter which religion, because in Lebanon or society or everybody like the nature and everybody try to live the winter. So people from all the religions, from all the age, from all the income level in Lebanon, they all meet in the same place, in this beautiful mountain, in this beautiful nature, and they try to live what they can afford. And anyway, they are all meeting in the same place.
We try to leave the politics at home, but this is exactly what is, I think, a good remedy for politics, is something that brings everybody together of all different nationalities, religions and beliefs. It's about people just having fun and forgetting about their differences, thinking about what they have in common or enjoying what they have in common, more or less.
We've left the very international Mzar resort and we are on our way to the second most popular ski resort, the Cedars. It's a couple of hours drive north of here and it's quite different. On the Lebanese flag, set on the strip of white that may or may not represent snow, is a green tree, the cedar tree. This area is laden with snow, but also laden with much sacred symbolism for all Lebanese people.
I'm from Zgharta. It's not really far away from here, so basically this is why we come here to the Cedars. We're lucky to have this little place close to our town, you know, so that we can ski and snowboard.
I'm from Akkar, north of Lebanon. I wanted to try snowboarding for the first time, so I came to the Cedars to Lebanon to see the view and the snow.
Because, you know, Cedars, it's the symbol of Lebanon. So we're trying to take care of Cedars.
The Cedars is where skiing started in Lebanon. It's much less international here, much more Lebanese. The longer history of this area stretches back to Old Testament times at least. More on that later. The mountains here boast the longest ski season because of their high elevation, up to 3,000 meters. Snow begins and settles here earlier in winter and remains on the slopes later into spring. 86-year-old John Kairouz grew up here and started skiing as a young man in the 1940s. He went on to become an Olympic skier.
بالجبل قاعدين شو بنعمل يعني بالشتاء ما في سبور غير سكي نحط الخشبة بالأول نحط الخشبة خشبة نعملها مثل طارة منخل.
Back then, we barely had anything to do for fun. There was no sport in winter other than skiing. We used to make skis out of wood and tie it to our boots with rope. Then real skis became available. The French then came to Lebanon. They used to walk for 2 hours to ski for 10 minutes. This is how skiing started.
يطلع يمشي ساعتين تينزل 10 دقايق هيك بلش سكي.
In the mid-1930s, the French army established a ski school at the Cedars to train their soldiers in mountain patrol techniques. There were no ski lifts then. Mostly, skiers hiked up. Others would rent donkeys to take them and employ a local man to carry their ski equipment.
وأنا جبت أول تلسكي من سويسرا من غاغو بيشمن وعملته بالأرز جاوا مهندسين عملنا.
I brought the first ski from Switzerland, and we hired engineers to get it started in the Cedars. At that time, skiing started to evolve and we got quite good. In 1956, the government decided to send Lebanese people to represent Lebanon abroad. I was lucky enough to represent Lebanon at the Italy Winter Olympics in Cortina d'Ampezzo.
لقيت إنه لازم نودي اللبنانيين يمثلوا لبنان برا. طلع نصيبي إني أروح مثل لبنان برا بكورتينا دامبيزو.
By the 1950s, the Cedars, and more widely Lebanon, was a fashionable destination for Arabs, Europeans, and Americans. Then, the Civil War came from 1975 to 1990. That and subsequent conflicts with Israel and Syria severely limited activities up here. But the area is rejuvenating itself today. It's true it will never become an international skiing destination, but it's a place that brings Lebanese people together. And sometimes, in a country with Lebanon's history, that is more important than attracting tourists.
هؤلاء اللي بيجوا على سكي كلهم متوحدين مع بعضهم. إيه فعلا هاي مهمة يعني. هلا فوق بتلاقي بالأرز.
Here, all the people who come to ski are united. This is true, and it's very important to highlight. Up there, at the Cedars, you would find many Muslims from Tripoli who would come every day to ski. Then, when the civil war happened, they stopped coming. But now they are back. Definitely, it unites people. At the Cedars, it's impossible to differentiate between Muslims and Christians. Such a thing is non-existent. Since the beginning of the world, sports unite hearts, and this is the best thing ever.
الرياضة بتوحد القلوب. السبور أصح شيء بالعالم.
During the Civil War, Lebanon was largely segregated and separated between Christian-dominated and Muslim-dominated areas. And it felt like a psychological barrier to move from one area to the other. Now, after the end of the war in 1990, those barriers start to erode. But it takes a long time. And today we can look at the spaces that represent this kind of meeting where the psychological barriers don't exist. So you can look at the seafront in Beirut, for example. But also I think Mzar and Cedar represent an illustration of this idea of the Lebanese coming together. And when we talk about the Lebanese coming together, it's not a cliche. It's the necessity of overcoming all these psychological barriers of the Civil War. So we're in a forest that's covered with snow, and we're surrounded by some majestic trees around. I can see really high mountains spreading all around the area and a few churches dotted around in the snowy landscape. We're 2,000 meters above sea level and thousands of years of history behind us. So I'm here to meet someone who knows a lot about this forest, who spent a lot of time in it, and he's going to tell us more about it.
I'm Sharbel Tau, a member of the Cedars Forest Committee. We are now in the Cedars of God, the oldest cedars forest in the whole world and the highest in altitude.
And what are the Cedars of God?
It's the only tree that was mentioned in the Old Testament or the Holy Bible. They talked about many trees, but the only tree that they said that God planted is the Cedars of Lebanon. The scientific name is Cedrus libani. So it was mentioned that the Cedars of God are well watered, for thy he planted. And from that phrase in the Old Testament, The cedars of Lebanon took the name of cedars of God. So it's considered for the locals here as a holy tree and a holy place, holy forest.
Are they considered sacred to all Lebanese people?
It becomes the emblem of the Lebanese people from centuries and centuries. Christians and Muslims in Lebanon, they come and visit the forest, and every community could celebrate their beliefs or faith all around the forest. And later on, many cultures that lived here in the Middle East took the cedars of Lebanon tree as a symbol, as a holy tree. The Jews talked about the cedars of Lebanon a lot in the Old Testament, and later on with the whole communities in Lebanon, Muslims, Shiite, Sunnite, Druze and Christians, as the emblem of the country. It's the symbol that unifies all the Lebanese.
So the cedar tree is a symbol of unity for you?
It's on the flag. Every Lebanese is honored to have his flag with him wherever he goes in the world.
We talk about the cedar forest and the sacredness and the symbolism. Do you think there's a conflict between this idea and the idea of a touristic skiing resort, or do they sit happily together?
They love to come to the cedars, to ski near the holy forest. It's a privilege for them.
We hear a lot about the Levantine spirit, you know, what's so special about the Levant and the mixing of the different culture with it. Do you think skiing and the cedar forest represents a symbol of that or a way of manifesting that?
For me, I can talk about the Lebanese spirit in that. For example, every year we celebrate in the same time that we are celebrating the Mass in the old church in the forest. We receive a lot of ethnic and religious groups that come to the forest, maybe praying their prayers, singing their songs here in the forest. Even during the civil war in Lebanon, I can say that the region is totally Christian, but there's a lot of Muslims that came to hide or because they had friends here in the region. And it continues till now like that.
We've been here for a day now and we've talked to a lot of people, and I'm getting to know the area a little bit more. And one of the things that strike me about it is the skiing is one aspect of it, but the history of the area is of a history of an inaccessible, secure area that was a shelter and a refuge for a persecuted minority. But it seems that geography of it that made it so secure is now the very same geography that's being used to promote tourism. So whereas the reclusive mountains used to be more of a shelter, now everybody here wants more people to come, and they're very inviting, and there's almost a complete transformation in what these mountains mean. And I'm beginning to see that there's something different to what skiing adds than what I started thinking about in the beginning.
We have 18 religions in Lebanon. So we have almost everything around the world. What makes it really special. And all those people are living in this very small area. That make it like you have no choice, you have to see the other people. What is so special about Lebanon is that the people from different religions, from different society, from different way of life, they live the simple things in small towns together. This is why they accept each other much more. They live the good things and the bad things. If someone is dead in a small town, everybody is coming to see the parents. If someone is getting married, they are all invited to party with them, to drink with them. Some would drink, some would not drink, but everybody would enjoy and dance together. This is a very, very special thing. And it's a very good way to start to make the people interact in a good way together.
here in Cedars, people come from Zgharta, people come from Tripoli, so you have like many religions, many places, many people with different political views, so I don't think it really matters.
There's something that has always bothered me about Lebanon's much celebrated cosmopolitanism. It always felt to me like a performance of cosmopolitanism rather than a truly lived everyday experience. The ski slopes and the nightclubs embody this to me. But this trip has started to change my mind a little bit. I can understand the draw of the ski slope and this promise. Yes, this is not an egalitarian utopia, but it still represents a place that is vastly different to anything else in the Middle East. And perhaps I was wrong to resent it.
I think it's beautiful to see countries like Lebanon and even my own Jordan to maintain a safe haven, a secure place in the midst of all this turbulence that will hopefully fade sometime soon.
Honestly, we feel safe. I know there's problems in every country, especially this region, but I mean, if we stay home and be afraid to go anywhere, we'll never have fun. So far it's all safe for us and we feel comfortable.
You've been listening to Skiing Mount Lebanon, presented by me, Karl Sharro, and produced by Dom Byrne. This is a Greenpoint production for the BBC World Service.
Thanks for listening. We'll have more for you soon, and please do subscribe. The documentary is just one of our BBC World Service podcasts. There are many others to choose from. Why not try People Fixing the World with brilliant solutions to the world's problems?
From the start, they were absolutely committed to making a strong medical case. They collected data, experimented with different strategies and improved how they worked based on the latest research. And all of this came together into something called the Pathway Model, which is a kind of flexible blueprint for how to set up specialist teams for homeless people in a hospital.
And to listen to People Fixing the World, just search for it wherever you access your podcasts.